Welcome back. Keep listening to the broadcasting service of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and this is your program Saudi Evenings. Now, Yahya, let me come back and ask you about your experience with NBC. It was sort of, let's say, that have brought you to the fame. First, you appeared with in إضاءات or lighting with Turkey الدخيل.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Then, after that, you just moved up on the ladder very fast.
Well, it was. I think the Turkey الدخيل's program on العربية. That's a very well-known program. And actually, when he phoned me, I said to him, "Are you sure you want into it?" I said, "Why me?" I said, because usually he interviews people that are kind of other politicians or people that have had some big, caused some big sensation in society. And I said,
or intellectuals sometimes.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And he said to me, "Well, he said you're an unusual character." And I think it was because he'd seen me on Saudi TV too. That he wrote an article about me in the Jazeera newspaper. I think it's what he writes in.
And Al-Watani.
Al-Watani, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, correction there. Yeah, and he was saying that he turned on this TV and saw this person, speaking Saudi but doesn't look, but then suddenly broke into fluent English. So that going on with that art actually had a big influence. I mean, all of a sudden I'd be in the airport and people saying, "Oh, you're the one that was on," and I just, to this day I haven't really got used to that. But then from after that, I then did the Saudi home with Sean 2 on Channel 2, and then NBC approached me. It was actually the head of the channel that asked for me.
Sheikh Al-Walid Ibrahim.
Yeah,
okay.
And it was a good experience. It was a different type of program because it was not based in a studio. So it was good. I got to travel a lot, and it was a semi-travel program and kind of lifestyle program at the same time, and it was good. I think it was, we went to a few different places. Some places that had connections with the Arab world, for example, Malta, actually where my mum's from. Because I think
I'm sure you suggested that.
I think because we went to Sicily, which also has some.
Oh my God,
Sicily, because it used to be ruled by the Arabs, and Malta as well.
You
so
bet.
I think it was an interesting kind of program. I think also for NBC because they don't tend to go into sort of the travel type programs, but it's the filming for that's over now, and the only thing is it's always hard when you're a full-time employee to balance, let's say a TV show that requires lots of travelling. But it was a very good experience. But I was before doing the NBC program, when I was in Malaysia, for example, I'd get stopped and Saudis. See, I like it when Saudis stop me, because I suppose, this is where I live here now. It's kind of like my second adopted home, really. So I suppose for me, what's very important for me is a lot of the time the Saudi view and the Saudi perception of me more than outside of Saudi Arabia, because I suppose I live here now, For me, it's always... I always feel I'm under an obligation to, as they say in Arabic, to paint the face of Saudi Arabia white. Abayad wajh Saudiya, But the NBC was a good. It was a good experience, and it was different to being in a studio because the programs that I'd filmed with TV2 were studio based. This was a place. This had a lot more, let's say, spontaneity. I had to sometimes give comments on things and. Getting used to making lots of mistakes in front of the camera. I make a lot of mistakes. It's not always perfect the first time, but it was a good experience. Yeah.
Okay, now it's sort of hard now to be innovative, especially if you adapt one style. Have you thought about maybe changing your style in presenting programs, away from culture and tradition and food?
Yeah, I think with food I've always liked because I suppose I enjoy.
But there are so much. Maybe episodes that you could make.
I think so, and that's a huge area. Game show type things. No, that's not really me. I don't think. Maybe some kind of a show, meeting guests, chatting to people. I think that's kind of a chit chat show. That's something that'd be quite good fun. The travelling shows were fun as well. They were good. I can't.
Definitely, but again, it's sort of related to food culture thing.
Sure, I think with NBC, I think also the same point was the fact it was having a foreigner, a non-native Arab, speaking in Arabic. I think perhaps that's a selling point as well that people find unusual. So I think whether it be NBC, Saudi TV, or any other channel, I think it's maybe it's part of my selling factor. You know what I mean? If I can say that.
Oh, I think this is one of the main point of seven factor, definitely. Now, have you thought about maybe doing your own talk show, maybe down weekly at least?
That'd be great fun. I think
have you thought about it and how you go about it? How you go about doing it? I mean, in Arabic, it's going to be very interesting to me.
I think it would be. Yeah. I think it's finding the right opportunity, finding the right kind of theme of the program as well, and obviously depends on whichever channel wants to do it. I suppose they have to. Any channel has to do a feasibility study to see how it would work. But I think it could. I think it's something that could work quite well.
Okay.
And I have my looking after me, my best friend Badr Zakiri. He's an unofficial agent to me. You know, he's my official agent actually, not unofficial.
I see.
So I've realised that sometimes you need someone to help you. Sometimes in the world of TV, you know, when you get into the bigger world of it, especially doing a full-time job, it's kind of
difficult.
Yeah, it's a new world to me, really.
Maybe have you thought about maybe down the road at one point to maybe be full-time working for TV?
If a decent enough offer came, yeah. I mean, realistically for me, it would have to be an offer that would mean I could leave my current job and would make it worthwhile. There has to be an element of security to it as well, because I think the media is a very sort of turbulent world. It's sometimes up and down. So really, for me, my daytime job is still very much my, as we say in English, my bread and butter. That's really my. But the TV's been an interesting vehicle for me in using Arabic, because I think one of my conditions for an ideal job, I think, would be something where I could use Arabic
on a daily basis.
And I think TV's been a very useful vehicle for that. And the chances I've had so far have been good, and I've been very good at that. I think.
You read Quran sometimes.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
And now, how do you find the pure classic Arabic? It's difficult for even the native speaking Arabs.
Of course,
when you get into tafsir and interpretation of the Quran,
I find if you obviously newspaper Arabic isn't that hard to read. There's just sometimes the odd bits of vocabulary that I don't understand, but getting into the Quran, there are certain elements of the Quran that aren't hard. They're quite when they're narrating a story, narratives are easy to understand. But there are some, there are some verses and some chapters in the Quran which are hard to read, and because I don't actually understand some of the words I'm reading. I think the eighth surah of the Quran, I always find that a very hard one. Surah At-Tawbah.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the wording in it's very difficult to read, you know. But I think with the Quran, it's just a case of practicing and trying. But certainly, if you look at scholarly works of about Islam, like for example Ibn Kathir or Ibn Taymiyyah, reading those in Arabic, they're very hard to read because they're written in really hardcore classical Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where sometimes I find the difficulty. So I tend to read it in English. But the Quran I read in Arabic, and then sometimes I'll go back to the translation, just maybe if I haven't understood a certain verse or perhaps a certain vocabulary.
Maybe you could ask colleagues or friends, how's your pronunciation with Quran? Do you think you're
I can read it
lucky?
The tajweed, the rules and regulations of lengthening and shortening, and maybe I'm not perfect on it, but I can read and understand. So you know, I'm ashamed to say, in my 16 years of being a Muslim, I still haven't read the Quran all the way through in one go, because I get to a point where sometimes I find it hard to read the Arabic, and I see my friends, especially in Ramadan, you know, my colleagues at work, you know, they read, you know, one surah, two sections of the Quran a day, and I find it heavy going, because I think sometimes, but I think it's anything, the more you try, and obviously the more reward you get. If you have difficulty, then you get thawab or reward for it. So it's a case of practice, really.
Okay.
I think it's an excuse to say that you can't.
Prophet sayings, do you sometimes get to the Prophet sayings, peace be upon him, do you get to read them sometimes?
Yeah, I'm not in Arabic and English. I also have there's a very nice book called Husn al-Muslim, which has the daily prayers that you should say in the morning and the evening.
Or azkar.
Yeah, they're always very nice to say in Arabic, and obviously, you know, I mean, when I became a Muslim, I was already studying Arabic, so that it made it easy for me in terms of being able to recite the prayers in Arabic. So that really wasn't a problem for me. So that was something that was made easy for me, I think.
Very interesting. I think it's about time to take another break. We're going to take a break and we'll be back. Stay with us.